A huge thank you to patron Jeff Snyder for suggesting today's video topic. If you want to suggest a topic for next Wednesday's Name Explain video, all you have to do is support Name Explain on Patreon for $1 a month. Find out more by visiting patreon.com/Name Explain, which will be linked down below. Anyway, we engage with the world around us and other people primarily through the use of our senses. These senses are so vital to us, and the 5 most well-known of senses we humans have are our sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. These senses are something drilled into us from a very early age, and we learn how to use them more or less from birth. That's not the case for everyone, however. For a variety of reasons, not everyone's senses work perfectly. Many people have a sense or two that is weaker than average, or they lack it entirely. This can take the form of someone needing glasses like yours truly, or can even be more extreme with someone able to see, smell, or taste full stop. While lacking one or more of these senses can prove challenging, many still live fulfilling and amazing lives. Gosh, so if that sounded really condescending to anyone out there, that wasn't my aim. I just didn't want to get all bogged down in that stereotype of how tough life can be for you guys. Yeah, despite talking about words for a job, I'm really bad with them. But there are titles given to those of us who lack one sense or another. Those 2 most well-known of names are for those who lack a sense of sight or hearing, blind and deaf. Being blind means you struggle with your sense of sight. This can range from minor struggles to not being able to see anything at all. Blindness is a condition that has been recorded and studied throughout history, meaning the word of blind unto itself comes from rather ancient roots. This is one of those words that came into English directly through Germanic roots, as opposed to being borrowed from Latin or French. In the past, the word was presented as blinder or blind, and seemingly stems from the Proto-Germanic term of blindas. This is thought to mean things like to make cloudy or deceive, so it's understandable why it would be used for those with vision impairment. It seemingly ultimately stems from the Proto-Indo-European blare, meaning to shine, flash, or burn. This root word also gave us terms like blaze and blank, as well as blind. This makes sense as these words have connotations of something being unseen. Blank literally means empty, and blaze can imply something is covered with fire or smoke. It also gave us the word of blanket too. While used as a noun for something we snuggle up with, blanket can also be used as a verb, meaning to cover something up, so is unseen. So it's understandable how it's linked with blind too. Deaf comes to us from similar ancient roots, with the word believed to have its origins in the Old Germanic doabaz. This word comes from older roots, meaning things like confused. Deaf was also used in the past to refer to being confused. This all stems from the past when we didn't fully understand these conditions. Our use of language around these kinds of subject areas has changed dramatically. In example, dumb used to refer to someone who was mute, aka couldn't speak. It was used in a term like deaf, dumb, and blind to refer to someone who couldn't hear, speak, or see. Today, dumb is a word with a much stronger connotation, and not really appropriate to use for someone with a condition like one of these. Also, for those curious, deaf meaning hard of hearing has no relation to deaf as in no longer being alive. They come from different roots but just sound similar. As mentioned, these are the 2 most commonly understood cases of people losing a sense, and I imagine they are more well documented down to the fact that losing one of these senses can have a bigger impact on your life than losing another one. We use sight and hearing so much for navigating literally as well as navigating human interaction, but losing any of your other senses can have a huge impact on your life too. For example, losing your sense of smell can shut off a lot of what the world has to offer. So much of the food we enjoy is dictated by how it smells, and of course smell can play a huge impact on how we make memories. I'm sure we all link certain smells to certain times and locations and the memory that conjures up. Like seriously, I have a candle which smells like the hotel I stayed at Walt Disney World because of the memory it conjures. Someone who lacks a sense of smell is commonly referred to as being smell blind, which is easy to understand. The more correct term for this, however, is actually anosmic, which is simply the adjective form of anosmia. This is a much newer word than blind and deaf, first being recorded in the early 19th century. As is often the case with words relating to medical conditions, it is formed of Greek words. It's simply a combination of the Greek and prefix meaning not/without, along with osmir meaning smell, so it simply means without smell, which in many ways is just as to the point as the aforementioned smell blind term. The Greek word of osmir also seems to have given us another word relating to smell, odor. While smell does have a big impact on the food we taste, So does that sense of taste too, obviously. While today, this sense mainly revolves around how much we enjoy the food we eat, in the past it played a much more vital role. Taste was used by our ancestors to figure out if something was safe for consumption. Lacking this sense could seriously be life or death. I'm sure there are still people around who use taste in this way, but today, with how most of us get our food from supermarkets and whatnot, I imagine not many of us are really using this sense to make sure their tube of Pringles isn't poison or something. A lack of taste has the technical term of agousia, with those who have it being referred to as agousic. This is once again a pretty new word, coming into being around the same time as anosmia. Its etymology is once again similar to the A at the start links to the not/without prefix seen previously, while the latter word comes from the Greek gousis, meaning taste. So it all comes together to simply mean without taste. Something interesting about these four senses is the fact that part of the body we use to experience them, eyes, ears, nose and mouth, are all located on the face. That isn't the case for the fifth sense of touch. While yes, we can use our face to touch things, in reality our entire bodies are capable of using this sense, though it's mainly linked with our hands as they are what we use most when it comes to touching. We literally come to grips with so much of the world via touch, and our sense of touch has a huge impact on our other senses too. Unlike the previously covered senses, there isn't much of an example of someone losing their complete sense of touch as far as I can tell, at least in the same way we think about being blind or deaf. Many, however, have lost varying degrees of this sense due to damage in their nervous system, like being paralyzed. When someone loses their sense of touch, the condition is called hypoesthesia. Of all these terms, this is by far the newest, only first being recorded in the early 20th century. This is yet another compound word. The hypo prefix means to be under or beneath, while the latter esthesia part of the name means feeling or sensation. So together the name means below feeling, which is a somewhat abstract way of saying that someone's sense of touch is way below average. While this word is relatively new, there's also a much older word we can use to refer to someone not having a sense of touch, that being numb or numbness. People can feel numb to varying degrees. Some people have parts of their body that can be numb at all times, while others might just get a numb arm if they sleep on it funny or something. The word numb originally started life as a word meaning to deprive someone of power or motion, and stems from the Old English niman, meaning to take or catch. It's from here that it got applied to meaning a loss of touch. These are the 5 key senses that we think about when we cover the topic of sense, but in reality, us humans have way more of them. Yeah, there really is a 6th sense, as well as a 7th, an 8th, a 9th, and so on. Some believe we have somewhere between 20 to 30 senses we use to understand somewhat more complex things than just sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. These more obscure senses include things like equilibrioception, which is our sense of balance, proprioception, which is the sense that deals with knowing how our bodies are moving without actually looking at them. For example, typing on a keyboard without looking or wiggling our toes. There's also thermoception, which is our sense of temperature, nocioception, which is our sense of pain, and chronoception, which is our sense of time and the passing of it. Like the 5 previously mentioned senses, there are people out there who lack the ability to use some of these. The thing is, however, when someone lacks one of these senses, it doesn't seem to have its own unique name. For example, not being able to balance hasn't got a name unto itself, it's just called a lack of equilibrioception. The only one of these I could find that has a unique name for when it's lacked is chronoception. Not being able to sense the passing of time is referred to as dyschronometria, and is something that can affect people with dementia, in example. The latter part of this name comes from chronometry, which is the study of measuring time, paired with the dys prefix meaning abnormal, like we see in words such as dyslexia or dyspraxia. It's easy to see how this became the name for someone with the inability to track the passage of time. It's these senses that truly bring the world to life for so many of us, whether that be in big ways like smelling flowers, seeing the ocean, or just tasting some amazing food, or in smaller ways like feeling your skin get warmer in the sun, or just sitting there and acknowledging that time is passing by. The wider world seems to know a lot about those who are blind or deaf, and those terms have helped people understand their plight way more clearly. Terms like anosmia and agousia, meanwhile, have flown much lower under the radar. Hopefully, as time goes past, these terms will pick up more traction, and in the same way we have things like Braille for the blind and sign language for the deaf, maybe we'll find ways for those who can't taste and those who can't smell to enjoy the marvels of the senses they thought were long lost to them. Name Explain depends on viewers like yourself supporting the channel financially on Patreon, so a huge thank you to everyone who does. Donating just $1 a month helps the channel amazingly and gets you bonuses including ad-free videos, exclusive content, the power to request ideas to be made into actual Name Explain videos, and your name at the end of the video with all these awesome people. Visit patreon.com/Name Explain or click the link down below to find out how you too can support the channel. Thank you. Thanks for reaching the end of the video. Why not watch another and subscribe to keep up to date on all things Name Explain. You can find myself on Instagram where I'm NameExplainYT and join the Facebook group Friends of Name Explain to talk with myself and other name nerds. All that will be linked down below. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and once again, thank you all so much.